Hi, welcome to Centerville Reports Today. I'm Maureen Russell-Hodson. And today we're going to talk about things that you already know about, but are you putting them into practice? That's right, we're going to talk about some really good safety tips that we need to remind all of us about. And here to tell us more, we have our good friends, Mike Long. This is going to be your last show, we've just found out. He's a fire marshal with Washington Township, so we'll talk about that in a little bit, and Officer John Davis. And thank you both for being here. But when we say we're talking about things that we know about, first and foremost, John, we want to talk about if you see something that looks unusual or strange, you need to call 911, right?
Yes, it's more important than ever. In this day and age, if you see something, you have to call us. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't rationalize it away. Don't think that you're bothering us. I know I've been on this show probably 20 times and said that. But we still have people that think that they're bothering us, that they think that we're going to be upset that they've called us. If your first initial thought is, I should call the police, you should be calling the police.
And we all know that feeling. It's that strange feeling. This doesn't seem right, or this isn't right. You all will determine whether it's right.
You know your neighborhood. You know the area that you live in better than we will ever know it. Even though we're out there every day, you're there much more than we are. You know what's unusual. We could drive down the road and see something, and it really doesn't mean that much to us, but you could look out and go, what's that red car doing in Bob's driveway? That's something that you would recognize before we would. So we want you to give us a call. Let us know. Let us come out and determine, what's right, what's wrong. We would much rather to come out and find 99 false alarms than to let that one go, because that's the one that would be the one.
Well, and the same thing goes with fire, right, Mike? If you think you're having a heart issue, or you think this fire is out of control, that you can't put out yourself, call 911.
That's right. Get out. If you know that there's something bad happening in the house, get out, call 911. We're there. That's what we're here for. And people do. They always want to hesitate, and don't hesitate. I agree with you. We go on false calls. That's fine. That's great with us. But we don't want to risk anybody's life. We've had a couple fires here this past week, and the one lady even knew she was doing wrong. She went back for her purse, and she's going into a smoke-filled area, which we've had a long talk about that. You don't do that. Get out of the house, keep everybody safe, and we'll assess it when we get there. So.
Right.
So go with your gut reaction.
Exactly.
Call 911.
Go with what you know. Just like you said in the beginning of the show, we all know this, but when it comes to actually practicing it, a lot of times we start looking and factoring other things in. We know the right decision. It's whether or not we choose to do it. And then that's what we really need the public to just go with your gut instinct.
I think your point about rationalizing, that's what people want to do. They always come up with all these reasons not to call. They want you to call. They're there 24/7. That is the police officer, fire department job.
That's our job.
That's our job.
They want you to. They want to come out and make sure that things are safe and to keep our communities safe. So
absolutely. Right.
And you're right. You've probably talked about it 20 times, and we'll probably talk about it 20 more.
The sooner you call, the sooner we get there, the better chance we have of getting a good feel for what it was. If it's a suspicious vehicle or a suspicious person, and you wait and we never find out who that was, there's always that thought in our mind. But if we can get there and talk to the person and find out that it's a contractor, or they're taking a walk, just unusual to the neighborhood, then we can contact you back and say, hey, that's what that was.
Right.
There's always that unknown if you don't know.
Same for us too. If you're having difficulty breathing, shortness of breath, starting to feel something in your chest, something doesn't feel right, should I call, should I not call? Call, get us there. We'll have police there before us.
Call before you Google it, because I hear that's what people are starting to do now. They're Googling their symptoms
don't
before.
Google because you'll wind up having a lot more symptoms than you started with if you Google it. So
and
by all means, call.
And an important point when you talked about Googling, make sure you know our numbers. If it's an emergency, if it's a crime in progress, certainly a medical emergency, a fire emergency, 911 is the number we want you to use.
That's right.
If it's a non-emergency thing, make sure you know the police department's phone number, because you'd be amazed at how many people go and Google Centerville Police.
Wow.
And we get calls from Texas, we get calls from Arkansas. There's Centervilles all over the country, and they just go to Google and hit the first one they see, assuming that it's Centerville, Ohio, and it's amazing, the different, people are calling all over the country.
Yeah, keep that posted on your refrigerator or by your phone, or in your phone might be a good thing too.
Yeah.
Just to always have with you.
Always have it there.
All right, so if you take nothing else away from this program, if you see something or feel something or something seems unusual, it is an emergency situation, call 911.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
That is correct.
Well, let's move on because it's fall, guys. You know, finally. I mean, it doesn't feel like
Here.
it so much today, but off and on. And this is a good time that people like to have bonfires, backyard fires, and we do have some restrictions about fires,
There
right?
are, especially this time of year when the leaves start to fall and the branches start to fall, and everybody wants to burn what they think is just okay to burn, and technically it's not. Bonfires are totally illegal anyway. Recreational fires are fine as long as they're 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot high, and you're burning clean lumber, not leaves, not trash, not old receipts, those kind of things. And this is Fire Prevention Month. Fire Prevention Week is next week, so there's a lot of information out there that you contact us. We'll be more than glad to help you. If you're going to have a recreational fire, here's where we have that number for the township, the 433-7644 number, and you can let us know that you're having a recreational fire.
So before you start a fire,
let us know.
just call to make sure it's okay.
Call
Because
us,
you
and
like
that way
to,
there's
neighbors like to
smoke
know as well,
and
right?
the neighbors will complain, and talk to your neighbor before you have a recreational fire. You can invite them over if you want, but at least talk to them, let them know that you're going to have it. That way, if there's any complaints, you'll kind of stop that before it happens. So always think about your neighbors. And your recreational fires do create a lot of smoke. If your neighbors has an illness, can't breathe, smoke goes into the house, they're going to complain, and we're going to be out on a complaint. We're going to tell you to put it out. So
that phone call also helps us out as well.
Exactly.
Because when we start getting the calls of smoke in the neighborhood, a lot of times we're driving around 3, 4, 5 streets trying to pinpoint where that smoke's coming from, especially at night because you can't see it. Yep. You're just smelling it. So if you make that phone call to the fire department, they can tell us, oh, hey, that's over, on Main Street, and we can go right to the address and make sure that we don't have a problem.
And that's a good point, John, that we should remind folks that police and fire work together.
Oh, absolutely. Hand in hand.
And that's very important that you realize when you do call an officer, you might get a cruiser, or you will get a cruiser for sure, but if it's 911, you might have a fire truck, it might be the ambulance.
Could be a medic, could be a fire truck, could be, somebody's going to be there.
But we'll always have a police officer there as well.
Yes. We respond to all fire and medic calls.
And you're also all trained as first responders as well.
Yes, we are.
Which is unusual in this area.
And it is such a big benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps everybody in the community, and by all means, this is where you need to call. It's very important. They're usually in the area closer than we are, and we get on the scene. They tell us what's going on, and it gives us a very good insight on what to prepare for when we get on scene. So.
Okay, something else I want to talk to you about are not just new drivers or teenage drivers, but all drivers. Anywhere you go, I think it's almost a little game. You can sit at a stoplight and see how many people checking their phones. And this is really, it never seems to be topping out. I mean, it seems to keep growing with folks.
It's getting worse and worse, yes.
Worse and worse.
It's getting worse and worse, and as we begin to gather data on these distracted driving crashes and whatnot, they're finding out that it's in many ways worse than even impaired driving when I talk about drugs or alcohol.
Really?
Because these people just aren't even paying attention to the driving. At least, I teach Kettering Court Traffic School, and we talk about, alcohol levels and things, and somebody that is really drunk is usually, 10 and 2, and they're paying attention. When you're driving down the road and you think, oh, I'm okay to text and drive, you're not paying attention to the road at all. You have no idea what's going on in front of you. And we're finding out that in many ways these crashes are worse than even impaired drivers. Both of them are bad, don't get me wrong, but we're finding out that this is actually a bigger problem.
Well, it seems to be so prevalent. I mean, you really can't go anywhere where you don't see somebody looking down, driving, or trying to do both, and you cannot do that.
A lot of people think that I'm just talking on my phone, it's okay. We're finding out that even that's a distraction because you're doing something other than driving. And we always tell people, if you're going to drive your car, just drive. Okay? There's enough distractions out there with the other cars and pedestrians and motorcycles and bicycles. You don't need that added distraction of trying to carry on a conversation as well. And that's really what we're trying to get people to do.
Can you be cited if you're in an accident and you were texting for the actual texting part?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, if we can prove that. But we've had a law on the books for years about driver inattention. So any of those things, anything that can fall into drawing the driver's attention away from driving, you have to pay full-time attention to driving while you're driving. But yes, the texting, if we show that you were texting at the time that you had a crash, you can be cited for that.
And the same thing is, don't forget to buckle up. I think kids tend to buckle up more than adults do anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
Correct.
Yes. That's all they've known. They've grown up through it. Yep. So we're getting to that end of that cycle to where we have a generation of individuals that have grown up with that. That's all they've ever known. So it's really not a big deal to them. But certainly there's times where you get too many people in the car and you exceed the capacity of the vehicle and things like that we have problems.
Yeah, they're not paying attention to sirens, their windows are up, they're talking on the phone. We can sit at an intersection and just watch cars pass us with the lights on. They just do not pay any attention.
Well, that's a good reminder. You're supposed to pull to the right.
Pull to the right with lights and sirens, and they just, it's so distracted, and it's so dangerous at intersections, especially. We're sitting there waiting, and we're just watching cars pass us and looking down, and they're not even paying attention.
Pull to the right and stop.
And stop. That's right.
Stop. That's the important.
And stop. Because if you continue down the road with the rationale that we're going to be able to pass you, we may need to turn right to get to the emergency, and we're having to wait or risk being hit in the side by the car that continues down the road.
Okay.
Same thing on the other side of the road as well. If we're going to turn left to cross over to get into a plat where there might be an emergency, if the cars keep going, that causes problems for us.
Okay, and Mike, you had mentioned earlier that it is Fire Prevention Month.
It is.
And you all have open houses next week.
We do. Next week, starting Monday through Friday, we're doing a station a night, starting with Station 41 on Monday, then 42, 43, 44, and 45 through the week. They're from 5 to 8, and each station is going to show what they're specialized in. So 41's Monday night, we'll have the ladder truck doing stoke basket rescues and that kind of thing. 42's is our rescue vehicle. So they're doing some sort of car demonstration. And as we go through the week, it's open to the public. Anybody can stop in. There'll be snacks, and Sparky will be there, and we'll be showing how to work smoke detectors, how to test smoke detectors. It's that time of year, even though every month is a good time to test your smoke detectors.
But you should be changing batteries too, right?
This is where you change your batteries at time change. And always check your smoke detectors and make sure they work, make sure they're clean, the sensors are clean. But we're really excited about the open house this year. We're doing a different format. So the signs are up at every fire station that you see, and please stop by and see what we have to offer.
Well, the other thing is, if you have questions, like if you have questions about home safety, you both will go out and you check homes. We do vacation house checks. Yes. It's not like you need to wait for something to happen. You could always call an officer or the fire department.
You don't need to wait for an open house.
Yeah.
You don't need to wait for an event. You can call us anytime. We're available to answer questions. I can come out and do security surveys. I know the fire department
will come
home
inspections and make sure everybody knows how to get out of their house, a safe place, where to go to. If there is smoke alarm does go off in the middle of the night, where to meet, so we know when we arrive on scene everybody's out of the house, because that is the most key to us, is that everybody is out of the house.
Well, it's a great exercise for your family to meet a police officer, have the fire department come out, make sure that you all know what the plan is, make sure the kids feel comfortable in calling 911. And
the key to all of these things that we're talking about, at least from services and see something, say something, is to know those phone numbers. So if you want to call the police department, 433-7661 is our non-emergency number. 433-7644 is the fire department's non-emergency number. But certainly if there's an emergency or a crime in progress or something of that nature, please call 911 and we will come running.
We will be there.
They will be there for sure. Before we close, so I want to just thank you for, I don't know how many years you've appeared on all of our programs, but you're finishing up a 39-year career in fire.
I have off and on, starting in Michigan, and it's time, and I'm going to miss a lot of people, and this has been I thank you, bottom of my heart. You do make everybody feel so relaxed here. And,
well, that's nice. Thank you.
I really do. It's a great program, and I'm glad that I've been a part of it, and I thank both of you for that.
But you're just going down the road a little bit,
Not going far. Not going far. I'll still be in the fire service doing some odds and ends here in a different location, but
may see you right here at this desk at some point, right?
That's a possibility. That's a possibility. So.
Well, all the best to you. It's been a real pleasure working with you.
I appreciate
and
it.
just a reminder to you all, Beggars Night is October 31st from 6 to 8 in Centerville and Washington Township. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Maureen.